So there was a video that was posted on Tulsi Gabbard's YouTube channel that eventually was deleted. But there were some people who got an opportunity to take the video and rip it and repost it because what she said was so powerful that a lot of people felt like this video should not go unseen by the masses and that it should absolutely be viral. Now, I am not going to lie, because of how we know the Democratic Party tends to operate, I was conflicted about doing this video. I was conflicted about sharing it. And the reason why is because I was worried that they were going to retaliate against Tulsi. She isn't the front runner like Bernie is, right? They retaliate against Bernie. It builds more momentum, more steam, and just reaffirms every reason why people already support him. You know, they already consider him anti-establishment. They already know the DNC is out to get him. Hell, he's even had to speak out and almost flex his muscles, if you will, with the letter that he sent to the Center for American Progress. Tulsi isn't in the same position as Bernie Sanders is at this very moment. And God, I mean, there's not really much else they can do, but she can still be attacked in some way, form, or fashion. Whether it's not in this debate or the second debate, it could be in the third debate and the fourth debate where they have different stipulations and start skewing polls even more so than they are, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I was skeptical, just so you understand and get so you all can get an understanding about how powerful this message that she is about to give is. So take a look.
The most attacks I get are not from Republicans. They're from Democrats. They're from people in the mainstream media. They are from people in the foreign policy establishment that you're talking about, people who represent the interests of the military-industrial complex. But you know what? You know what? The answer to how we overcome this, it's us. It's we the people. The stronger they come, the stronger we respond. And you know what? We don't respond. We don't respond to their dirty tactics or their hate with more hate. We respond with strength and love and our message of peace and humanity. We cannot lose faith in the power that we hold within our own hands, our own feet, our own voices, and our hearts. It is only when we reclaim our own voices and our own power in dictating the change in this country that we need to make that we can be successful. People will get into a lot of conversations about political tactics and how do we win this race and who's going to beat Donald Trump. Bluntly, I might get in trouble for saying this, what does it matter if we beat Donald Trump if we end up with someone who will perpetuate the very same crony capitalist policies, corporate policies, and waging more of these costly wars? This is why I'm running for president. This is not a joke. This is not for fun. This is not about me. It's about all of us. It's about our future. Making sure that we have one. I ask for all of your support. I ask you to stand shoulder to shoulder with me in this movement for peace abroad, peace at home, so that we can fight for that path towards a bright future with opportunity and justice.
Yeah. There's a little bit to unpack there. But first and foremost, I think that this is a true revelation of character. Not necessarily a revelation of myself, but there are a lot of people where this was kind of the first video that they've ever seen of Tulsi interacting with people on a very real level. They see what she does on television. They see what she does, you know, in certain interviews and in interviews on shows and things like that. But unfortunately, the videos of her having one-on-one conversations with people, you know, or one-on-one conversations, or very intimate conversations with the environment, those videos aren't the ones that tend to go viral. This one did. On Twitter, I think it's close to 200,000 views, and it's going higher. I guess partly because it was deleted, so not everybody wants to know. It's kind of how I go. When you can't have it, all of a sudden everybody wants to see it. First of all, consider how real the threat of the Democratic Party is on smacking down on Democratic candidates, despite the fact that they're the ones who demand unity from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. Think of that. Tulsi had to delete a video where she said something that wasn't a matter of opinion, by the way. Objectively, the Democrats have done more to try and damage the reputation of Tulsi Gabbard than any other entity. When she goes on Fox News, when she goes on Tucker Carlson, when she goes on independent media, guess what happens? She is always treated more fairly. Always. There was one situation where she was not, and that was on TYT, and even Cenk reconciled that situation by having her on for a more substantive conversation about the things that she was doing, the policies that she supported. The Democrats and those who align with them, CNNs and MSNBC, they have trashed Tulsi at every single turn. And for her to acknowledge this, for that to be a problem, means that our I'm telling you, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I feel like it still needs to be said. Our Democratic Party is undemocratic. It's not my party, but it's the Democratic Party. If you're a Democrat, it is undemocratic. You understand what I'm saying? Because there is no real reason. They've been, for why they're attacking Tulsi. Not like there is a reason, I'm going to get to that, but there's no policy reason as far as her getting it wrong, because the policy she got wrong and may have gotten wrong in 2014, 2015, so did every other candidate in the race. Every other candidate in the race. Yeah, every other one of them. Okay? So that isn't why. They try and blame, they said, oh, well, she's a Hindu nationalist, which is a Hindu phobic. It is a bigoted attack. And once again, I always tell people there's two things you can look at in this particular situation with the Hindu nationalism. After a while, I would get tired of answering questions about it too. Let me give you a small example. Has anyone ever even thought about suggesting in the liberal or progressive media that if a random Muslim who happened to belong to the Muslim Brotherhood donated to Ilhan Omar or Keith Ellison, but if right now Ilhan Omar, because they're kind of like making her somewhat of a martyr at this point, do you think that we would ever hear the smears and the slams that we have seen against Tulsi? First of all, she doesn't have anybody who's donated her. There were some people, some individuals. And by the way, apparently, which I have been researching even further, I'm like, where are these groups? There were people with Hindu last names. That was their definition of Hindu extremists. There was no legitimate connection to the RSS or the BJP like they were saying there were, because of their last names, and they had donated to Tulsi. That was their justification for saying that Tulsi was a Hindu nationalist or supports Hindu nationalists. But will we hear that same thing about Ilhan Omar? No. Guess who started that rumor? The Democratic Party, about Tulsi being a supporter of Hindu nationalism. Guess who isn't attacking Ilhan with the same smear attempts? Now, Republicans are using smear attempts against Ilhan, and the Democrats defend those xenophobic smear attempts, but not the ones against Tulsi. Interesting. But here's the other point that I keep trying to help people understand, because I think that it's so simple that a lot of people have overlooked it. Tulsi is a Hindu, yes. Her connection to India actually isn't that strong, though, to be completely honest. From everything I understand, it's like she's Hindu, but mostly because her mother, who is actually white, is Hindu. That's why she's Hindu. So with that being said, there is one particular candidate in this race who has a quote-unquote political love affair with Modi, who is an alleged Hindu nationalist. I don't know enough about Indian politics to say one way or another because everything I've read has been stories from both sides. You know, that some people say he isn't, some people say he is. But I will say this, the allegation, which is the most important thing at this juncture, there's someone who has a political love affair with them, and her name is Kamala Harris. There is one person who is actually Indian in this race who has a political love affair with Modi, and her name is Kamala Harris. There was one person whose aunt actually comes and campaigns for her from India, Hindu, who still has a strong connection with India, with the Hindu culture. That is Kamala Harris. I mean, in her Senate campaign, she talked about it all the time. There is one person who has an excuse for why she was meeting with Modi as well as the opposition. That is Tulsi Gabbard. She's on this Committee of Foreign Affairs. What the hell she's supposed to be doing? The same reason she met with Assad and the real opposition there. The same reason she meets with any leader around the world. She is literally on the Committee of Foreign Affairs. It's her job. You know who does not have an excuse nor a reason to have a love affair or political love affair with Modi? Kamala Harris. Now, once again, who do the Democrats attack using Modi? In quote unquote Hindu nationalism, Tulsi Gabbard, not Kamala Harris. They want to attack Elon the same way they attack Tulsi. They want to attack Kamala in the same way they attack Tulsi. Their lives. I mean, there was an entire debate about Tulsi's issues with the LGBTQ community when she was 21 years old. I would hate to look at some of your Twitter timelines at 21, some of the comments you've had with your friends and family, because that was before the LGBTQ community, in my opinion, and I would say, considering that's when the marriage was legalized, equal rights for marriage was legalized, there was an unfortunate status quo of homophobia. Because we are unfortunately we were a very socially conservative nation, even in some of the most democratic parts of that nation. So homophobia had been normalized until about 6 years ago. But Tulsi had gone through her evolution before that because she has a 100% voting record with the LGBTQ community. You know who does not, however? Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who 6 years ago and before, in his adulthood, when he could actually influence the outcome of policies, was against equal rights for marriage. It took the LGBTQ community fighting, getting it overturned, getting equal rights for marriage legalized, or technically the ban of equal rights for marriage overturned in North Carolina Supreme Court, and then it eventually going to the Supreme Court for both Obama and Biden to evolve on this issue. Whereas Tulsi has a 100% voting record, but once again, do the Democrats attack Joe Biden for what he verifiably and voting-wise did not support? He didn't support it with his rhetoric, and he didn't support it with his votes. Do they attack Joe Biden like that? Like they attacked Tulsi Gabbard for what she supposedly did when she was 21 years old? Because the conversion therapy thing was a lie. They said she was strongly, was fighting against, she was never a strong advocate one way or the other. Her father was. And that's what happens. And her father apologized. I'm sorry that Tulsi, living under her father's roof, believed in what her father believed in Because that's literally what 70% of Americans do. Because I'm sure, once again, that you are all of us, right? You're all so evolved at 21 years old. So super socially conscious and all that good stuff. Yeah, no, you were not. You weren't. And that's Tulsi's point. Look at who is being attacked and look at where the attacks are coming from. And also, I think a point well worth mentioning, how many of those Democrats have come to her defense? The ones who call themselves progressive. Why? Because the Democratic Party has put a mark on her back. Now, if the neoconservatives are keeping her out of office, or keeping her out of the Oval Office, not even allowing her to meet with Trump because she is promoting peace. And she is promoting a judicious nature in presiding over not only this country, but the world with foreign policy. That's what she was promoting. And that is what encouraged Donald Trump to pull the CIA out of Syria the first time. Then they kept her out. Because Tulsi is bad for the military-industrial complex, like she said in this video. The establishment. Everyone that we are trying to usurp, Tulsi is fighting actively and openly against. If you want to say that you may think there is a candidate better one way or the other, that's fine. I don't really have that much of a problem with that. We may objectively agree or disagree, but that doesn't mean what I have a problem with are people attacking the integrity of this person. The holier than thous. The people who act like they themselves or their candidate had always been perfect, that they have never made a misstep. But what this video demonstrates is that Tulsi made missteps that she learned from, but more importantly, she understands the foundational root of the problems that not only hurt us here, but hurt millions of people abroad. That is what I said in the video when I endorsed her in Los Angeles. I said that right now we need a president who has a certain level of empathy and intuition that we have not seen from any president in the history of the Oval Office. And to me personally, and to many others on the left and the right, by the way, she's the only one who has it. She's the only one who's demonstrated it. And that is why the lies have persisted in a way that has for the most part been unchecked, outside of for a few media outlets. I would love to know what you think about this. It is a damn shame that the Democrats supposedly is championing women, supposedly championing women of color. It's a damn, calling for unity simultaneously, by the way. It's a damn shame that the only progressive women of color in Tulsi Gabbard, the only veteran woman that's introduced legislation, by the way, to fight against sexual assault in the military, not just talk like a lot of these other politicians. The only person who has the legitimate commander-in-chief foreign policy, foreign affairs experience, that is the one they want to drag through the dirt. And once again, I wonder why that is. Because she's not the only one, but she is the one that they most fear who was on your side. No one else's. Whose opinions can't be bought, can't be co-opted, whose ego can't be used against her, whose pride can't be used against her, because she's evolved past that. It's the truth or nothing. There's no political calculations. It's the truth or nothing. It's peace or nothing. I would love to know what your thoughts are about this particular video. Make sure you share it, subscribe, and like as well. And always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.
Thanks for watching that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and JustNForm.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.